Well, welcome back. Welcome back. I mean, this is our third live stream tonight. My name is Joe Hyde. I'm the publisher of St. Angelo Live, and with me in this final report, we got a lot of races to call tonight. I have my cohort, editor-in-chief Yantis Green. See us both in there.
Now we're both on.
Now
screen.
we're both on there, so we know what's going on. So lots happened in the last hour or so. We've been off. We finally got some of the local races we can call. We can finally call the Bradley versus Darby race, which came. I mean, it was scaring you for a little bit, wasn't it?
Well, I knew it was going to be tight, and I thought earlier this week that it would be within 10%. But I thought Drew would win.
Right.
And looking at the numbers, the last numbers I looked at.
Yeah, I was just at the Darby party down at Raw 1899, so I haven't seen the last numbers, but I do know that calling up at the county elections office, there's 3 ballot boxes still yet to be counted. So everything but 3 boxes have been counted. It looks like Darby took away Tom Green County, which not saved him, but they were pretty much even throughout the district. But Tom Green County overwhelmingly voted for Drew Darby.
Yeah, it was a 60-40 vote. There was no question that the vast majority of Republican voters in Tom Green County want to send Drew back to Austin.
So right now, district-wide, it looks like Drew Darby is about 3,000 votes ahead, and there's still 3,000 votes in Tom Green County to be cast. So for Stormy to win, she'd have to win all those votes. So we're going to go ahead and call this Drew Darby the winner, reelected, and he's one of the only rural Republicans reelected. But
yeah.
but he was reelected through a very strong showing in Tom Green County. They were kind of running neck and neck throughout the county, throughout the district. But here, where we have San Angelo Live coverage, 60-something%.
That's true.
And had a lot of, and it also had. I think his turnout was enhanced by a lot of the things that we did for him. And just to give you an idea of what happened, I didn't say this during the election, but KLST, which is our competitor, they ran. I heard they ran $500,000 worth of advertising on KLST, and we held them off with San Angelo Live. I mean, the Stormy Bradley consultants out of Austin had been told, do not touch San Angelo Live. They actually excluded us from programmatic advertising, excluded from everything.
Yeah.
And so basically they declared war on us, and they didn't think we would know.
Yeah.
And we knew. And, thanks to Yantis, he's kind of like he keeps me, I guess, not flying off the handle too bad.
We try.
But I think that a lot of the stuff that we were able to do, once Stormy said she wasn't going to participate in our debate, I said, you know what? And then, when I heard him playing around with advertising dollars and stuff, I said, you know what? The heck with this. I'm going to do what's right. And we're going to support Drew Darby. But anyway, Drew Darby, we just taped this a couple minutes ago. James, you can bring it up. This is me with Drew Darby maybe 15 minutes ago. They're at Raw 99 talking. He's basically accepting his winning speech, I guess, victory speech. Go ahead. Hello, San Angelo. It's Joe Hyde. I'm down here at the Raw 1899 with the apparent victor tonight. The results are pretty close to being done, and it looks like he might have pulled off a squeaker.
Well, I think I would be happy with a squeaker, but it looks like we're probably a little bit more than a squeaker. But it's good to win, and it's good to know that you have the backing of the good folks here in House District 72.
Well, you had a lot of campaigning against you, a lot of negative campaigning, a lot of text messages that were not very complimentary. Drag mail that was not complimentary, probably TV ads. We didn't watch TV ads because most people don't even watch TV anymore. But how did you feel with your team? How did you keep the attitude
Well,
up?
I felt slimy, to tell you the truth. I didn't recognize myself. They would say things that my wife and I would just look at each other and said, how do you make this stuff up? And a lot of the stuff I think was just made up. Had no semblance in fact or in truth, but that doesn't matter now. Consultants are paid just to cast those lines out there.
There's nothing worse than political consultants.
They're paid to be consultants, but yet they're paid to
manufacture
just
They're
outright
paid
falsehood.
win at any cost.
Win at any cost.
Yeah.
That's how they're paid.
Anyway, you obviously have a strong base here in San Angelo. District 72 still likes you. Going back to the House, you're going to be a little lonelier this time.
It is. The sad reality is a lot of my friends are not going to be able to make it. That's what happens every 2 years. We have elections, and some win, some lose.
Right.
Some of the folks that were very strong supporters of public education are not going to find their way back. But hopefully we'll cobble together another group of friends that believe like we do and support public education, and we'll try to get the job done.
Well, we're here at Raw 1899. It's the after party, I guess, for the elections. You must be tired.
I'm exhausted.
I know you're probably living on impulse and habit patterns and just making it through. But thank you very much for this interview, and congratulations on the win
Joe,
tonight.
thank you so much.
All right,
thank you. I
Take
appreciate
care.
it. Thank you, folks.
Well, I'm sorry I had to do an iPhone interview, but we have a Manning problem right now.
Right. And election night, we have a lot to do, and there's a lot to juggle. He was originally going to come into the studio, and that just wasn't possible within the time frame. But he's right. I've known Drew for a long time, and this was the nastiest race I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was from the political consultants. It was in those mailers. There was outright lies and calling him a liar.
Mm-hmm. Governor Greg Abbott tweeted, "Drew Darby is a liar."
Yeah,
He said it.
And
maybe a Greg Abbott consultant was running the Governor Abbott Twitter account, but my God, you called a fellow Republican a liar.
Yeah, and that breaks the Reagan rule: is never speak ill of another Republican. But things have changed. And the Republican Party of Texas is divided. It's split. It's in trouble. Mm-hmm. Heading into a convention
Wait,
this summer.
You say it's in trouble. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like the Democrats broke apart in the '80s with infighting,
and in the '90s, yeah. And I think.
And what happened? The Republicans, Rick Perry and the George W. Bushes and stuff, they built together the Republican majority 30 years ago.
They swept into office and said goodbye to Ann Richards and the far left of the Democrat Party.
And back then, the far left of the Democrat Party was more like the center today.
Yeah, it was more like the center of the Democrat Party today. But and back then, Tom Green County was a Democrat county.
Yeah, in fact, Drew Darby said during the campaign, it didn't even have a Republican Party organized.
It didn't. It did not. And Rob Janelle was one of the best, one of the most powerful House members to ever come out of Tom Green County. And Rob Janelle served with honor and distinction and was very powerful as the House Appropriations Chair. Mm-hmm. Charlie Stenholm was a fantastic congressman and a champion for agriculture, both conservative Democrats.
Right.
But that time has passed, and now the Republican Party of Texas, the chair and vice chair are running against each other for leadership of the Republican Party of Texas, and that has trickled down from the chaos at the national level through the state.
Chaos at national level is the Trump versus the DeSantis versus the Nikki Haley's.
It's the far right versus the what I would call the establishment Republican.
I call it the
Party.
populists because I don't think the populists are that conservative. I mean, I'm serious. I'm not against being a populist, but I think that the populists would change a stance on a conservative viewpoint, to increase its reach.
Well, either way you look at it.
Let me put it this way: a populist Republican is not going to cut the budget.
Okay.
Will you go with that?
That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
I mean, a conservative, a true conservative like a Rick Santorum, is going to go in there and he's going to try to be a budget hawk. You never hear a populist saying he's going to be a budget hawk because they still had to be for all the
well, and they're to me it appears that they're much more savvy politically about getting things done. Compromise is not a bad word.
No, it's
in
not.
Politics. And what has happened to the Republican Party of Texas is you have the Tea Party movement come in 2008 after Barack Obama was elected, and that faction has taken over the party, and compromise is not in their vocabulary.
Yeah.
And that Republican Party is going to wind up being a very small Republican Party.
You don't have a Bill Buckley kicking out the runts. When I was this is before I started San Angelo Live. I was a political consultant of some sort in Houston. I worked on a congressional campaign, and I remember going to a Tea Party event in 2009 up on the it was at a racetrack up there off of Loop 610, or maybe it was off the outer loop, and they had Lyndon LaRouche, John Birch Society. I mean, every weirdo in the world. I mean, I'm sorry if you're in John Birch Society, but yeah, you are a weirdo. All these weirdos in the Republican Party, they were trying to join the Tea Party movement. These are all the people that Bill Buckley of National Review had expelled back in the 60s, which set forth what Bill Buckley laid forth as far as the intelligentsia of the conservative movement post-Goldwater is what brought us Reagan.
Right. That's how Reagan came about.
So then when the Tea Party reemerged, there was no one there holding the governor, so to speak, making sure we didn't go out of control. And so we didn't know what was conservative and what's not conservative. And today it's so nihilistic, no one knows what is, what's left and what's right.
That is exactly where the Republican Party of Texas is, and it's in trouble.
I think it's in trouble too, unless someone comes with a vision. And I'm going to tell you something: vouchers is not the answer. It's not something that you're going to rally around. There needs to be something else, some other issue, and it's probably going to become a crisis with the budget in 1 or 2 sessions from now. Although Abbott on the campaign trail was saying we're going to have a $20 billion surplus again next time. There's going to be some kind of crisis that'll bring it back all together, or the Democrats will take over. When you look at the Democrat turnout, they didn't even vote today.
Yeah, they're as bad as tumultuous as the Republican Party is. The Democrat Party of Texas is quiet.
Yes,
and
although
the large cities though are led by Democrats. Every single one
except
of them.
Dallas, he switched to Republican. The mayor did.
There's one.
One thing, Beto wrote a book. Beto O'Rourke. He wrote a book on how to get out the vote, and he's touring on his book right now during the campaign season because Beto can't. He never saw a campaign he didn't like. The guy's charismatic. He's filling up big rooms talking about his book, and what he does there at the end, he registers everyone to vote. We don't have anyone from the Republican Party, the Tea Party, whatever, going from county to county to county, registering more votes. And particularly for the Republican Party, we need to go into the city and the suburbs.
Yeah. The urban areas is where the Republican Party of Texas is suffering. But locally, there's going to be a change, I believe, on the Commissioner's Court, and we're going to have a new.
You're queuing it up. Let's bring them up. I think that's the first slide we got.
Michelle DeRusso, it looks like there are those 3 boxes still out, but we understand that the very best box is included in those numbers.
So all of the very best votes have been counted, and that's a very big stronghold for a Schneers.
It looks like that Precinct 1 commissioner seat will change hands if this number becomes official. So 788 to 762, very, very close, as it should have been. Ralph Hosher's been there a long time and has a lot of support. Michelle DeRusso worked really hard, and that squeaker that you were talking about with Drew Darby, I mean, this is the squeaker race right here.
This is more of a squeaker than Drew Darby, yes. Yeah. Very big. Let's go to that's Precinct 1 County Commissioner. That's the northeastern quadrant of the county. Let's go to the next one. All right, so this is the man, I tell you what, this is another squeaker.
Yeah.
This is Constable Precinct 4, which is the southwest quadrant of Tom Green County.
Yeah, and this was the open seat. Again, as you mentioned, Randy Harris decided he was not going to run. Thomas Bigham and Gary Cole, both veteran law enforcement officers with little name recognition, so they had to get their name out there. And the way to get those votes was to go door to door, knock on each door, and see those voters individually. You do play the sign game. Yard signs have a part in it. Advertisements on San Angelo Live have a part to do with it.
And both of them are big advertisers.
Both of them were. So and this is a very close race, less than 50 votes. I don't know what boxes are not in as far as that one goes. But right now, Tommy Bigham is leading Gary Cole.
We're not ready to call that. We'll call in the morning once we get the finals in.
Yeah.
Next one is Tom Green County chairman, Tom Green County Republican chairman. Looks like we got another 4 years of Bruce.
Bruce Burkett has won this one, 60% of the vote, pretty solid for the incumbent. But what you've got, this is a really good illustration of the split in the party. You've got what would essentially be the establishment, and then you've got Ruth Staten, who is
Paxton endorsed Tea Party.
Who was endorsed by Paxton and the Tea Party. So, and that's 41% of the active Republican voters in Tom Green County that aren't happy with the status quo.
Yep, and they're ready to move. That's a lot of people, too.
That is, 4,600 in Tom Green County alone. So the local party's got some work to do, too, to unify.
Next slide. Okay, now we're going into the county tax assessor. Becky Robles handily defeats Juan Acevedo.
And that is incumbency and name recognition. Again, as I said earlier, you write a check to Becky Robles, tax assessor, every time you redo your tags, and you have for the last 20-something years.
You remember the name.
So that name recognition playing a lot in that race there.
All right, next slide. And now we're going into some of Darby's cohorts. So
the ones that they're not going to go back to Austin.
So Mike Olcott, it was the insurgent challenger to Glenn Rogers, he's the state rep out there in Stephenville, Mineral Wells, really smart guy. He's a veterinarian. He voted against vouchers. He was on Darby's team fighting the governor on vouchers. The governor targeted him with Mike Olcott, who's a Tea Party guy. I didn't think he was that good of a candidate, but nonetheless, that shows you what happened. When you think about it, Mineral Wells and Stephenville don't really have a strong media presence. You're right on the edge of the DFW media market. They don't care about Stephenville. They're not doing a whole lot of stories about it. You don't really have any kind of newspaper that has a reach. And one of the things we can go get in. Let's go to the next one. So there's one that's down. Here's another one. This is one that got saved. So this is a story of things. So this one got saved. This is Abilene's House rep, Texas House rep, Stan Lambert. He's the incumbent. Handily, he almost lost to Liz Case, basically. He should have won by 60-plus votes, 60-plus%. But there's a lot of money. But my point is, Yantis, in Mineral Wells, in Stephenville, there's not a strong media presence to counteract with true reporting what's happening. We did that here in San Angelo, and it plays out here in House District 72. I know Darby's from San Angelo, but he performed exceptionally well here in San Angelo when compared to, say, let's say a disinterested county like Coleman or a disinterested county like Sterling. I won't count Big Spring because that's kind of by Coahoma. That's Howard County. So you'd expect that Miss Bradley would do better there. But we were able, San Angelo Live, but with our reporting and the way it happened, we staved off $500,000 in TV advertisement placement on KLST alone. $500,000. Now another one is up there in it's a tale of two different parts of Nexstar, but the other, the KTAB, the Nexstar affiliate up there, they held a debate, and someone up there found out. Manny Diaz used to work for us, and he looked into this. He actually told me, he said, I looked into this race, and I read in the paper. The Reporter News, they reported that Liz Case was from DFW, had her homestead in DFW. People in Abilene don't want to vote for a carpetbagger, and that got out. Yeah. But where you didn't have media to counteract the messaging of the text messages and the direct mail, that's where Abbott could have ran Mickey Mouse against the best House rep in Austin and defeated him.
And this, again, is Abilene is actually a rural district. 71 is a rural district anchored by Abilene, just like 72 is anchored by San Angelo.
Right.
So, and the incumbent both there and here won.
Yeah, and that's about it. That's about the only place where we won. Let's go to the next one. Here's another one. This one, all right, this was the open seat in Junction, I believe. And here's the funny thing. West Verdell, you said last time that he ran against...
He ran against August Pfluger.
He was like Congress. A right-wing gun nut.
Yes, he absolutely Second Amendment patriot, and I just looking at this, I think there's some name recognition for West Verdell. It's an unusual name.
He was also endorsed by Paxton,
and he was endorsed by Paxton. I'm still on the fence about how much an endorsement.
Let's keep
how much
going.
weight it carries.
We'll see if there's anything else that makes any sense in here. On this one, Ellen, I never can pronounce her name. Troxclair. She, she was up against this Biederman guy. He's kind of I don't know. Like I was saying last time, they leaked his divorce papers, and there's a whole bunch of creepy stories in there. And who the heck is Manny Campos? I thought he was a band player, a band member up here in San Angelo.
Yeah, there's your name recognition here, 5%.
But anyway, she's an Abbott endorsed incumbent, so that's a good example of that. And of course, that is up there in Fredericksburg, Blanco area.
Yeah.
Next, this one breaks my heart. Dwayne Burns. Well, it doesn't really break my heart yet. Thank God for Lyndon Laird, the spoiler. He's going to probably force that into a runoff. But Dwayne Burns is a strong advocate of public schools. He was against vouchers. Of course, he is Claiborne over there by south of Dallas and rural area.
Yeah, on the interstate. And Kerwin endorsed by both Abbott and Paxton.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty close one.
But it also shows you how hard Dwayne worked. You know, I was talking to Darby. He said some of these guys that got targeted just had no money. They had no money to fend it off.
Right.
So next one. This one is not really a rural one. This is right in the middle of Louisville. And the reason I pulled it out is Kronda Timich versus Mitch Little. Mitch Little was Ken Paxton's attorney. He was the guy who got one of the whistleblowers to admit I went to the FBI without evidence. And they turned that into a big soundbite on the socials.
Yeah.
But Mitch is a smart attorney, very loyal. He tried to knock off Kronda, who's an Abbott endorsed incumbent. Of course, Mitch, because of his work as Paxton's attorney, gets endorsed by Paxton, and Kronda is endorsed by Abbott. And then here's how it worked out. Here's another interesting thing. The last 2 years ago, Mitch Little was Kronda's campaign treasurer, and they go to the same church. And during this campaign, Mitch's campaign bought a billboard outside the church they both go to that said, "Kronda is a liberal."
Oh, no.
I know. So this was, and then one more thing about this race. They both spent $1 million each of their own money. That doesn't count all the external money. Now, so the external money, Mitch had the Tim Dunn, Ferris Wilks money behind him, just like Paxton does. But anyway, he doesn't. I don't know if he's going to win. That's by probably 99% of the ballots, and so Mitch may not have won that one.
Well, and that's Louisville, so it's one of the wealthier neighborhoods in the Metroplex.
Yeah. So next one, we have another Abbott endorsed guy who beat out the incumbent. So there you go.
Crawford, East Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. Next. One more Abbott endorsed guy. Maybe, I don't know why it's still 48 to 37%. We might have missed a third party in there, but you have an Abbott versus Paxton guy. Next, here's the three-way race. I believe who's the incumbent on this one? It's Ernest Bales, and Ernest Bales looks like he is.
Janice Holt is going to win that one.
Yeah. All right, next. Travis Clardy. This is the one that this is Nacogdoches. I mean, Travis Clardy was a conservative. I mean, you would compare him to, I don't know, a Santorum, like a Santorum is to John McCain. You know, he was a pretty strong conservative. He got beat by an Abbott endorsed candidate for not voting for. And
he worked very well with Darby. He's been out here a couple of times. I know that I talked to him at the West Texas Legislative Summit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Clardy's a solid conservative, solid representative in the House, and it looks like he's not going back.
But here's a case of a weak media market. The biggest city in Clardy's district is Nacogdoches, and they all love their newspaper there, but their newspaper has no sizzle. And even though they might say the newspaper's perfect, hardly anyone reads it. And so you didn't have any reporting other than what was going to people's phones. So if Clardy didn't have enough money to outspend, 15 packs and all the money Abbott was giving to his opponent, there's no way he could have won.
Yeah. It was the money played a big role in some of these House races.
Money in a news desert. So what Nacogdoches needs is Nacogdoches Live. All right, next. This one is up in Texarkana. Gary Van Dever, did he make it? Looks like it's going to a runoff.
Yep.
All right, and that's another Paxton versus Abbott kind of thing. And here's ours right now. This is just Tom Green County. Drew Darby's coming in over 61%, so I like it. Here is county-wide or the district-wide.
This is district-wide, all counties, the latest that we've seen.
So Darby's at 58%. So really, Stormy there wasn't enough people for Stormy to win in percentages in Howard County to make up for how badly their media operation failed in Tom Green County. You notice how I'm couching this.
Yes, I see that. But you had a good candidate, solid principles.
And a known quantity.
And a known quantity, exactly. And Stormy had also run for state rep or for senator before against Charles Perry and got about 15% of the vote. So that's also this district. She just came up on the short end. 58% of the voters in House District 72 apparently are not in favor of vouchers.
Well, it's not vouchers. They don't believe they didn't believe all the stuff after about the 15th text. They said
they were
must
bombarded
Yes.
with negative advertising.
Yeah.
And in rural Texas, negative advertising doesn't always work.
And Stormy would not come on our debate in the SUG room. She would not face the voters.
And we did. We reached out. We tried to get her to participate, and she wouldn't participate in that. And we've said it before, if you can't handle us, then how are you going to handle the House floor?
Yeah. I saw her speak a couple times. She had to use note cards. And I'm like, man, I don't think I would run for House if I couldn't speak extemporaneously. And I always misspeak a lot, as you can see tonight. But, beat. All right, so here's our 3 criminal court of appeals. Michelle Slaughter looks like she's gone. She wrote the majority opinion that denied Paxton the ability to prosecute voter fraud cases.
Those numbers are a bit confusing. 35-46 to 34-63. The percentages are
wrong, aren't
wrong.
they? So maybe she won.
Looks like
I think our guys. Okay, maybe Michelle Slaughter. Can we get that checked on? But I think Michelle might have won.
If she was leading in the last.
In the last time we saw it. Okay,
good. So
good. That means if that's the truth, then Paxton couldn't pull it. But we need to pull the next 2 and see what they look like. Now my numbers are suspect. Banda, you check on that.
And Gina Parker, who's been out here before on the Court of Criminal Appeals,
she's popular, even though Barbara was the incumbent. Gina Parker
had been out here, was a known quantity, and a lot of name recognition across the state. So that and she's a conservative, so that race looks like Gina Parker's going to win that one.
So you said Finley won. Finley. So go back to the previous slide so we can correct it. I just don't. So Finley won with how many votes? 35.
5,745.
And then Michelle Slaughter had how many? 5,360.
So Finley won that one.
So far, Paxton's 2 for 2. We got the third race now. We go Finley, and then the next one is going to be Gina. And then
Gina Parker.
And the next one, I hope this is correct, and it looks like David Schlink. I can't remember who the incumbent was in there, but I think it was the girl, Sharon Keller. She was the incumbent. So it looks like Paxton wiped out the Court of Appeals.
Well, and that's politics. We'll see what result that has on his criminal cases.
All right, next slide. Here is down there in Congressional District. This is U.S. House, Congressional District 23. That's Del Rio Eagle Pass, basically the largest district along any border in the United States. It goes right from the outskirts of San Antonio, the outskirts of El Paso, Uvalde, Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Ozona. Those towns are in Sonora. Those towns are in CD 23. Tony Gonzalez is the incumbent. It looks like he's going to be facing in a runoff the YouTube influencer Brandon Herrera.
Well, and that Tony Gonzalez has been, we've talked to him a couple of times. He's very high profile because of the location of his district, and he's a good, solid representative. And he's got his work cut out for him. He's been under he's had competition ever since he took that office.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird district. I mean, it's the one that Will Hurd couldn't hold, and Will Hurd just said, "You know what? I'm not running for re-election."
Yeah.
And that's when Tony had to step in and try for it too. He's an old Navy intel guy, cryptologist. Kind of looks at things analytically, like he's got to solve a Rubik's cube. He came in here with a burst of energy when he was on this campaign, and did me a favor by coming up here. I know San Angelo's not in his market, but we had a lot of people in Del Rio and Eagle Pass that watched this. I'm just surprised that he got so close to not having runoff.
Yeah, but that's the nature of the beast, especially when you have that many people running.
Yeah, and here we have Ted Cruz.
Ted
Cruz is overall winner.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those other guys didn't have a chance, did they?
No, and he's going to face Colin Allred, I think.
Colin Allred won
November.
the Democrat nominee by a lot. It was going against Rolando Gutierrez, and then we had Terry Chenko.
Chenko was here,
from Houston. He was a young kid, and he's got a lot. He's very bright. He has that charisma about him, that he can work on, and he's going to be a player in Texas politics if he stays at it.
Yeah.
Next, of course, this is just Tom Green County and how they voted. Any surprises here, Mr. Yantis?
No, not really. Donald Trump is the nominee of the Republican Party.
You're going to call it now?
And yes. And we're going to see a rematch with Joe Biden in November. And that is going to be an interesting show.
Well, this is the election show. Yantis, it's been a long day. We've been here, both of us, since 8:30? You've been here since 6.
I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, it's been probably your longest day. So we're going to call it quits now. Really thank y'all for watching. A little bit about the stats that we're putting up there. I picked. Actually, we had a team. We picked what races to follow. I know all of them are Republican, but there really wasn't out here. There wasn't any contested races on the Democrat side. So we wanted to keep it interesting. We thought the story was, asking the question, will Abbott get scalps for not approving vouchers? I guess he did. I think Darby and Lambert are going to be very lonely in the next session. They're going to be some of the rural Republicans, the only ones that held fast against that onslaught of money. I am surprised that much money was spent. And that's just crazy.
And you wonder why, but there's always a backstory about vouchers and who benefits and who pays for them.
The billionaires that are donating to those PACs and donating to Abbott's campaign, the guy from Pennsylvania, Betsy DeVos, her husband, that funded the AFC Victory Fund, that did most of the direct mail that I saw.
Yeah.
They all make money off of software that manages vouchers. And in the bill that Darby opposed, 5% carve out to pay for a contractor to manage the vouchers. If vouchers grow to a $4 billion enterprise or $20 billion, 5% of $20 billion is a lot of money. That's like $1 billion a year, So that's where it is. That's the problem with the whole deal. No one was transparent about it. I don't think anyone was able to report very well about it. I mean, I still have people argue with me, well, it's just taking money from public schools and putting it into private schools. No, it's not. It's increasing funding on private schools, public schools. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. So, Yantis, you got any final thoughts?
No, that's it. We will have a lot more. We'll dissect this tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have some stories about this tomorrow. But until tomorrow, I'm Joe Hyde. I'm the publisher of San Angelo Live. This is the editor-in-chief to my right, Yantis Green. Thank you for watching.
Good night.